What's going on, everybody? Dr. Chad Woolner here.
And Dr. Buddy Allen.
And this is episode 11 of the Health Fundamentals Podcast. On today's episode, we wanted to share with you the shocking discovery behind migraine headaches. So let's get started. You're listening to the Health Fundamentals Podcast. I'm Dr. Chad Woolner.
And I'm Dr. Buddy Allen. And this show is about giving you the simple but powerful cutting-edge tools you need to change your health and your life.
So sit back and enjoy the show as we show you the path to your best life down to a science. So hey everybody, on today's episode, we wanted to share with you something really interesting. There was a recent study, or I should say relatively recent study, and while it's shocking, I think to a certain extent, I think there was there was a certain amount of kind of like,
oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It was kind of like, yeah, that makes perfect sense, and it wasn't too necessarily surprising, but shocking from a standpoint of it's one of those things that is so simple in plain sight. So check this out. We were online and we found there was a study that was published back in 2016 by Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center. They said a high percentage of children, teens, and young adults with migraines appear to have mild deficiencies in vitamin D, riboflavin, and coenzyme Q10. So that's kind of crazy. It is kind of crazy. And you know, it's kind of funny because we frequently talk with patients about different vitamin deficiencies and how it might benefit their varying issues that they're suffering with. And I think it comes down, a lot of people don't think of vitamins because vitamins don't, or minerals for that matter, they don't react the same way medications do. All right. Yeah. We've been conditioned to think that, you know, we take a medicine and in 20 or 30 or 40 minutes, we can feel an effect. We can feel a decrease in the migraine or the symptoms. And in our mind, we're thinking, oh, that fixed it. That was the problem. Right. When again, we're just kind of, all we're doing is we're numbing the pain. We're not really getting to the root issue. And vitamins and minerals are very different in how our bodies respond to them. We don't generally, when you take vitamins, or even if you had a vitamin injection, for heaven's sakes, usually there's a little bit of time that passes before you realize, wait a second, I haven't had migraines in weeks or months. You know, it's not like this immediate response. And so I think that's probably why this, to some people, may sound a little shocking, like, what, really? Vitamin D, riboflavin, CoQ10, three simple, very easily attainable, and not even all that expensive supplements can mitigate and or largely get rid of these because, you know, migraines are things that generally impede people's ability to function at a normal level, right? It can completely put people in bed for days at times, you know? So it's a significant thing. In fact, migraines in general, I found something that said worldwide, as many as 1 billion people are affected with migraines, making it the third most preventable illness in the world. That's huge. That is huge. That is huge. And to think that it could just be, you know, truly coming back down to, like we said, it's kind of you know, you mean having a very balanced diet and having the building blocks in our body to be able to function as we were meant to can make a difference? Well, yeah. Can make a huge difference, right? And I would argue, we were talking about this, I would argue as well, if you were to dig even deeper, you would find several other vitamin and or mineral deficiencies common as common denominators amongst migraine sufferers. I would say hands down you would probably find deficiencies with magnesium would be a huge one. We talked about that in one of our previous episodes, the miracle mineral of magnesium, and just how absolutely critical it is and what a role it plays in so many different processes in our bodies. Omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids, absolutely. I would venture a guess to say that if you did, probably huge. Yeah, if you did a test showing omega-3 levels in your blood, my guess is people who suffer with migraines would probably have low levels of omega-3s as well, absolutely. So some simple things, but yet very profound in their implications. You know, these things... increasing these not only through diet, but then also through supplementation could have a huge impact on helping mitigate migraines, or maybe even completely resolving migraine problems. So, and again, if this is one of those things that you yourself suffer from time to time, what a simple thing for you to do. Don't expect immediate results, but what a simple thing to do that really can only help you.
You know, you're not going to do anything negative here by bumping up your vitamin D or
CoQ10.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I think that you brought up another subject that we can kind of dive a little bit deeper in on this episode as well. Is just this idea of feeling versus function.
Absolutely.
You know, there is such a again culturally pervasive way of thinking that symptoms are the most accurate representation of what's really happening, when in reality, nothing could be further from the truth. Symptoms can oftentimes be extremely misleading as to what's really happening, or oftentimes, I should say, more often than not, the absence of symptoms can be a big misnomer, right? So purely basing everything off of symptoms or absence of symptoms can oftentimes be misleading. Now, that's not to say that you should ignore symptoms. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm simply saying is underlying symptoms, the more often that we can measure function, the more accurate we are going to be in terms of figuring out what's wrong. So perfect example, you know, somebody who feels fine, quote unquote, they feel fine, and then one day drop dead of a heart attack. Clearly, lack of symptoms there did not really serve them very well, right? And so if they were to, let's say, get a full physical evaluation done, a stress test on their heart, look at, for instance, we'll just say throw out there maybe looking at certain markers in the blood like C-reactive protein or high sensitivity C-reactive protein, and let's say that's sky high, that could be a predictive marker of function and or what's really happening in terms of their health, what's really going on, right? Rather than I feel fine, therefore I am fine. You know, and so that point that you kind of brought up at the very beginning, right, that we have become conditioned to expect that if I take this thing and if I don't feel a significant improvement, that it's somehow not working or it's not as effective as this prescription drug or whatever, when in reality, just because you don't feel a significant difference doesn't necessarily mean that the function and or the physiology isn't changing for the better, you know, and that's so important to understand, because again, oftentimes with vitamins and minerals, not always, but oftentimes it requires a consistent amount of replenishment, I guess is the best way
fuel,
of putting it.
you know, the vitamins, minerals, they affect certain things in our body, you know, different metabolic processes and different neuronal connective ish, you know, I mean, like they're there for a reason. Yeah,
things that you may not necessarily be able to feel occurring, but below the surface are certainly occurring or not occurring if you're not doing it right, you know. So bear that in mind. If you're somebody who suffers with migraine headaches, or know somebody that does, keep in mind it could be just something as simple as this, right? Vitamin D, CoQ10, riboflavin. It's really simple. Really straightforward. And I would add into that mix again, magnesium, right? So hopefully it's been helpful. Anything you want to add to this?
Nope. Dr. But always seek those natural routes prior to the more potentially the bigger guns.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll talk to you guys on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Health Fundamentals Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so that you stay in the loop and in the know with all of the cutting-edge health information that we share. If you know other people that could benefit from this information, please share it with them as well. Also, be sure to give us a review. These really help us to ultimately help more people. Last but not least, if you have questions that you want answered live on the show, or if you have ideas for topics that you would like us to cover, please shoot us an email and let us know at info@thehealthfundamentals.com.